Okay, so we're starting electron configuration, and this can be a difficult unit, but we're going to try to start off with this intro activity that's going to help us out to understand what's going on, okay? So, Electron City. A group of electrons has decided to relocate to Electron City. Before they can move in, each must find a place to live. There are 4 neighborhoods in Electron City. Each neighborhood is in a different location, and some locations are better than others. Because of this, the houses go up by $30,000 from one neighborhood to the next. Within each neighborhood, there are 4 possible models of homes: S, P, D, and F. Upgrading from one model to the next increases the price of the house by $20,000. Electrons are very frugal, so their goal is to find the cheapest house possible. What does frugal mean? What? Picky, cheap. Frugal means very cheap, thrifty. They're picky for their price, any of those things. However, only 2 electrons can fit in each house, so some electrons must spend more money than others. Your goal is to determine which houses the electrons will fill up first. So, examine the models on the next page. Determine which houses cost the least amount of money and which ones cost the most. Using beads to represent electrons, we're going to place 2 beads in each house. Start with the cheapest house and work up to the most expensive house. If 2 or more houses cost the same amount of money, place 1 bead in each house before putting a second bead into each house. Electrons like their space. Record the order in which the houses were filled up in the space below. Answer the questions on the following pages. So we're going to skip the part with the beads for now. We're going to go ahead and start and figure out how they're going to fill up first, okay? So go ahead and look at our houses. So we have neighborhood 1, which is the city slum. And there's only one type of house you can have, which is the S model. Then we move up to neighborhood 2. It's the inner city moderate. We have the S model and the P model available. Neighborhood 3, we have the S model, the P model, and the D model. And then we have neighborhood 4, which is the suburban upscale. It has an S model, a P, a D, and this time an F model. Now, if you look at the prices, though, look how here the S model is $100,000. This S model is more expensive because you moved up a neighborhood. The S model moved up in price over here, according to the neighborhood, and even more right here. Okay? So the cost does play a role into this as well. So if we were going to talk about electrons moving into these cities, where would they start? Remember, they're cheap. They're frugal. So, neighborhood 1, and they can only be in the S model. So over here it says, order the houses were filled in. Include the neighborhood number and the house model. So we're going to have 1S. That's the first house that's going to fill up. Okay, now come back over here. Once that's filled, where are they going to move to? 2. Neighborhood 2. And what house are they going to start with? S. So we're going to go back up here and we're going to put 2S. Now, we're going to go ahead, and after they move in the 2S, where can the electrons move? 2P. Now, we're going to start with this first house, so 2P for that first house. Okay? 2P for the first house. Now, this house is filled up, so now where do we go? 2P2. The next one is going to be 2P. And just put 2P. We're getting there. That's the next step, okay? And then we have the next one. What's it going to be? 2P. Y'all are getting ahead of the game when y'all said 2P2. This would be 2P3. It's okay. We're getting there. Okay, so now our houses in neighborhood 2 are full. We've used all of them. So where are we going to move now? Neighborhood 3. And what's the first model? S. Okay, so it's going to be 3S. Okay, after the 3S is full, we're going to go to the 3P. We're on 3P. We're on the first one. And then what? 3P. And then 3P, because there's two of them. 3P, 3P. Okay, now we had the 3 P's that we filled up, so now we're going to move to, wait, we have an issue. We have 3D, but it's $200,000. And then you have neighborhood 4, and the S model's $190,000. Where are they going to move next?
4S.
The 4S, they're cheap, so they're going to try to go and move into the 4S first. That's what they can afford. Does everyone understand why we did that? Okay. Now, after we do the 4S, well, we filled this one. There's only one. So now we have to go back, and this is 200,000. This is 210,000. We're going to move to the 200. Remember, we're doing it by price. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 D models, right? So we're going to have 5 3Ds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So those account for the 5 3D models. Okay. Okay, now we're going to move to, we're filled up in neighborhood 3. Neighborhood 4, we've already filled the S model, so we're going to do the P's, right? So, how many P's are there? 1, 2, 3. There's 3 P models. So, 3P, 3P, 3P.
Wouldn't it be 4P?
Oh, yeah, 4P. Thank you, ma'am. Man. 4P is correct. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, 4P. Then we're ready to move to the next set of houses, correct? It's 230,000. It's the D model. We're in neighborhood 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of them. So it's going to be 4D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we filled up the 4D houses. Huh? And then we move to the 4F. Now here, right here, we have the 4F. They're the most expensive. They're $250,000. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 houses we can occupy. So you're going to put 4F all the way to the end.
So maybe keep going in order.
Huh?
Maybe keep going in order.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now that we've got this done, you can answer questions 1 through 7. So you're going to answer questions 1 through 7 and then stop, okay? So 1 through 7 and stop. And then tomorrow, I'll give you some time to finish answering those questions, and then we're going to move on to the harder stuff, okay? So this top part, 1 through 7, and then stop. And then tomorrow we'll do the second part.